Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. I already see many opportunities for collaboration. So I represent CIBIT, a research unit at the University of Coimbra. And we are at ICNAS, which is actually a core infrastructure of the brain imaging network. So we are located here in the health campus of the University of Coimbra. You see here many faculties, our building, but also several hospitals, which enables us to do translational research. So our institute is very interdisciplinary, so you can find psychologists, medical doctors, biochemists, physical engineers, biomedical engineers. We have a small company to produce radiopharmaceuticals. And so we are a research institute, but also a research infrastructure. So in our core facilities, we have PET and MRI imaging systems, both for, concerning humans and animals, and neurophysiology and neurostimulation equipment. So we are really suited for multimodal imaging. We have two cyclotrons. This was installed during the pandemic. This was in the parking lot. And so, as you can see, we do both MRI, but also PET imaging. So we do a lot of human and basic neuroscience, but also clinical neuroscience. And we actually we try to do translational research also in animal models of disease. So for instance, NF1 is a model to study inhibition, synaptic inhibition, which we could also study in humans using exactly the same techniques in animals and in humans. So here I show an example of GABA spectroscopy, molecular imaging of the GABA receptor, and then cognitive neuroscience studies of the oculomotor system. We also have an animal behavioral lab. Of course, the advantage of doing animal work is that one can do the molecular biology, and so we combine imaging approaches with molecular biology. I will not detail the science, but we were in fact measuring GABA in the brain, GABA receptors in vivo, but then also looking at brain tissue. We recently had a paper in PNAS combining these concepts, like linking functional imaging, a visual motor integration, so doing fMRI, but then combining with molecular imaging of dopamine receptors. And this enabled us to study synaptic reorganization in Parkinson's disease and to relate this with changes in functional activity patterns. Just to give you an example of the type of cognitive neuroscience we do, we link it a lot with physiology. So we are studying motion perception, mechanisms related to motion adaptation. So when you look at a waterfall, the motion signals tend to decay. This is a phenomenon known as adaptation. And we try to use phenomena inspired from physics, such as hysteresis, to understand how these physiological changes changed motion perception. So I will not go into the details, but basically we study adaptation as a physiological phenomenon and persistent as a memory phenomenon that is competing with adaptation. We are also working a lot with real-time fMRI techniques. So we have a research agreement with Siemens, which enables us to do real-time imaging. Here you see we were mapping an area in the brain that underlies facial perception, and participants had to modulate in real time the activity of this brain region. And if they were successful, the avatar would smile. We also do a lot of brain-computer interface research, and we do medical device clinical trials. So we do basic research, but then we try to find also clinical applications. This slide is from a postdoc, Rodolfo. We actually came from the lab of Patricia Figueiredo. He did an amazing work here, pushing the limits of EEG, so trying to identify the same resting state networks, both in fMRI and in EEG, using dynamic functional connectivity. And he also applied these techniques actually also for task-based data. And this is very important if we want to transfer neurofeedback approaches from fMRI to EEG portable setups. This is an example of a European project where we are looking at the effects of brain stimulation, TDCS, in healthy and clinical populations. So an European consortium where we run about 5 clinical trials in children. So that's why it's called STIPED, brain stimulation in children. So these are the keywords of our center: brain imaging, neuroscience, molecular imaging. These are our contacts. And from what I saw from several presentations, I really see many opportunities for collaboration. And thanks a lot for the invitation to participate in this event.